All right, everybody, welcome back to the Beans No Ball podcast. I'm David, that's Christian. Let's get episode 7 started right here.
All right, so we got a late video going on right here. We were supposed to record after the Monday game yesterday, but we had complications in our schedule, but that don't matter right now. But same drill as usual. We're gonna go over the Week 5 recap. Some news here and there. What happened so far with each team we go over, and then we'll be going over the Week 6 preview, and we'll also be going over our record predictions so far. So let's get started now. Let's go obviously in order. So we got the Thursday night game. Oh boy, the Colts at the Broncos. This was a very, very, very bad game. Thank God we didn't have to see it because one, they're not televising Thursday night games because of Amazon Prime, I think, right?
Yeah,
something like that. We weren't even home, so thank God we didn't have to watch that game. I had to look at highlights and rundowns of what happened. 9-9 was the overtime. 9-9 overtime. That was horrible. Field goals after field goals. It was just a bad game by both teams. What was it?
Yeah, no touchdowns, not at all.
Yeah, no touchdowns.
It's just both quarterbacks obviously are really struggling. You see, it's just Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson. They're just more turnovers than anything for the most part. And I mean, the kickers were obviously the most valuable part to this. The defenses, I guess you could say. I mean, to finish it off, Stephon Gilmore did have a pretty big interception. And obviously the Colts defense held Russell Wilson in just that really blundering play that you see. I forget which receiver it was, but he had him wide open, and
I think it was KJ Hamler.
Yeah, he just
right?
completely misses him, and I mean with all reason he's pissed. He's throwing his helmet around.
He had him wide. He had him wide in the back for a couple of seconds.
And obviously, I mean, it just looks like everyone on the Broncos is kind of sick and tired of him, and obviously Nathaniel Hackett. They're both they can't really get anything going. They obviously this is a pretty big disappointment. They were expected to be a playoff team, to even contend to win the West, and right now they're in last, aren't they? Well, no, the Raiders are in last, but
yeah, they're 1-4. Yeah, Raiders did beat the Broncos, so I mean.
Obviously the Raiders are a better team than the Broncos, but
they are, but
Broncos have a lighter schedule.
On paper, the Raiders are a better team on paper, but
it's just record-wise because you look at the schedule, and that's just about it.
Yeah, but regardless, it was just a bad game by both teams. They averaged a field goal at least. No, it was a field goal.
It was just field goals.
Quarters for both
Nothing
teams.
But field goals.
Colts didn't score in the first, and Broncos didn't score in the fourth. Literally, it was just a kicker. It was just a kicker battle, really. And towards that overtime, it was just horrible, man. And like you said, they already fed up with Russell Wilson. But I wouldn't just blame Russell Wilson. Nathaniel Hackett, he doesn't know. He's not a good coach. He's not a good coach, and it clearly shows. This isn't just Wilson. I would say most of it is Wilson's fault since he's not really getting involved in that offense more fundamentally. He's not. He doesn't have that chemistry of Cortland Sutton and Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon is having his struggles as well with the fumbles after Javonte Williams was officially out now. The season was, I think it was ACL now.
There's ACL, yeah.
So yeah, the offense is really, really struggling. Everyone expected Russell Wilson to come to the Broncos, turn that team around. You had hopes for them to possibly take the division. I'm not gonna lie, I had my little decent hopes right there, but just showing that Russell Wilson's not really contributing, they're managed to get at least third in the division. If the Raiders keep continuing to struggle, bare minimum third in the division, possibly top 10 pick.
I mean, honestly, I see them getting last in the division at this point. I mean, sure the Raiders are looking pretty bad, but it's just when you see both of their schedules, I see the Raiders going on at least, somewhat better than the Broncos. But I mean, I'm pretty sure both of us had the Broncos in the playoffs, and that's obviously not going to happen as we see it now. I had both of these teams in the playoffs. I think this is one of my playoff matchups, and you can clearly see that's not going to happen anymore.
Well, if we're comparing the Broncos and the Raiders, Broncos do have the upper hand here, player-wise. Because
I would honestly have to agree with that.
Both Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels. I was about to say Mike McDaniel. Josh McDaniel. He's not a good coach.
Yeah, but
I don't know
to
what
me,
the Raiders were thinking. Like,
I know
especially
maybe
after
you
his
would
tenure
say,
with Josh McDaniels' tenure with the Broncos, he did a horrible
yeah,
job.
yeah.
I don't know,
But
like
I mean, just
what.
to me, I mean, I know you have your own little hatred for the Raiders.
I
But
do. I do.
just to me, I would have to say the Raiders have an upper hand on them, and they're gonna end up sweeping them whenever their second matchup comes around.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to say the Raiders third in this division, and the Broncos end up dead last. They'll probably be closer to a top 5, top 10 pick than the Raiders in the end of this. But I mean, we'll see. And I guess just
Because right now the Raiders are looking worse than the Broncos. If we think about it, when I talk about worst, not necessarily
you're talking about just records so far, and you
records. Yes, like I said, Raiders are better on paper, but like right now, from what the record says, is like that.
Yeah, so just move right along from that snooze fest. We'll get back into the Sunday slate of games with our second London game of the season. Got the Giants at the Packers, which was a surprisingly good game that we both expected the Packers to, really silence the Giants, put them back down after this hot start. And it was looking that way at first. Obviously, while we were recording on Sunday, they were just rolling away. It was 10-0, and obviously 20-10 at halftime. Just the Packers seemed to be rolling, but until then they didn't score at all anymore. Obviously the little intentional safety that they had at the end, but they were shut out in the second half. And I mean, Daniel Jones, he had just his respectable game, but Saquon obviously turned it up. Nothing too crazy. He only did have 70 yards, but he got the touchdown to put him ahead. And just overall, the Giants are really proving themselves now with a really big win against the Packers here. And I mean, who knows? We'll see how everything unfolds. But I mean, it's looking obviously for the NFC East. It's looking really, really top heavy right here, aside from the Commanders.
Yeah, the NFC East is looking really competitive. Just a couple years ago in 2020, they're the laughing stock of the NFL. Losing records, and then Washington ended up hosting a playoff game to Tampa. I mean, it just shows how how a couple years, let alone 1 year, can really change. Eagles are still undefeated. Cowboys and Giants are 4-1 right now, and then the Commanders are dead last, 1-4. Ron Rivera is already throwing Carson Wentz under the bus. I don't know if he intentionally meant to throw him. I don't know if he was either comparing like the quarterbacks in the other division on why they're last, if that makes sense, or if he was actually like throwing Carson under the bus. It's still like a dick move as a head coach.
You would think it's kind of weird to see him do that. Just the leader, Ron Rivera is. But I mean,
yeah.
Although as shitty as it sounds for him to say that, he's right. I mean, even with just you would think Cooper Rush with the Cowboys. They were supposed to be struggling here, and I mean, look at them. He's got them 4-0 in the games he started, and Carson Wentz, the big money guy or whatever, for the most part that he was supposed to be, and look how he's carrying them. So
yeah, I mean, overall it just looks bad for them. But I mean, again, with the Giants, I mean, they are looking well. Daniel Jones, I mean, he's having some pretty mediocre games, but like that doesn't stop that doesn't ignore the fact that the Giants are 4-1. With the help of Saquon being back, Saquon probably my top pick for a comeback player of the year. So if he can keep going, and that Giants defense, I mean, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, still 4-1. The Packers, on the other hand, 3-2. I wouldn't say it's too bad, but I mean, from the standards, from what they expected from the offseason, I would expect it to be at least, again, 4-1. But I mean, with the loss of Devontae Adams and then that defense struggling a little bit, and Rodgers not having his chemistry with his receivers, like, I know he's had Alan Lazard for a couple years now, but I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's been developing lately. But other than that, it just looking good for the Giants right now. That's another team to watch for the NFC East. Me as a Cowboys fan. Packers, I feel like Packers are going to do fine, even though I got them winning the division. But I don't know. We'll just have to see after that. Yeah. So moving on to the next game, we have another blowout. We have our first blowout of this past Sunday, which is Steelers at the Bills. So Steelers are 1-4. It looks like Looks like the Steelers aren't going to do well this season. From the looks of it right now, Kenny Pickett is not the answer. I mean, Josh Allen doing what Josh Allen does the best, throwing for 424 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also did pretty decent on the ground, 5 carries for 42 yards. And then Gabe Davis, man, almost 200 yards for 2 touchdowns. He just came out of nowhere again like he did in the playoffs. But the Bills are looking really, really well this season so far, 4-1. I mean, I kind of regret now saying that they were going to miss playoffs. That was kind of a stupid decision for me. I don't know why I went bold that quick. But really look good for the playoffs. This could possibly be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. If we're being realistic about it. It could possibly be his first losing season. Now, 1-4, Pickett, Trubisky, that quarterback room is horrible. Pickett. I mean, look.
It's hard to just say about Pickett. He's in a really tough situation.
Yeah, I would want to say maybe it was just just the first year, because look at Josh Allen, his rookie year. He didn't have that much of a good rookie year. Look at other quarterbacks that didn't have a good rookie year. Carson Wentz, even though he's bad now, but I'm just using this as a first example. Carson Wentz, Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman. Those are the top 3 I can name right now that had a bad, mediocre rookie season. Then the next year they bounced back. Carson Wentz led the Eagles to that much of a good record before his injury. Peyton Manning also led the Colts to a very good record. Same with Troy Aikman. I want to say I wouldn't feel like it would be the same for Kenny Pickett. But from the looks of it, it looks like he might just be a bust from now on. I don't think he might be.
Sure, I mean, realistically, it's too early to say anything.
Yeah. Again, it's still too early.
It's just, I'm not going to deny that. It's hard just because, I mean, he's going against realistically the best team in the AFC with the Bills, who have obviously just that incredible defense and obviously an explosive.
The Bengals finally finding the rhythm again too.
Yeah. And this is like kind of exactly what the Bills needed to just get back into it.
Yeah.
After I mean they're playing all right recently, but still they really want to get into that groove. And I mean you see it, 424 yards and 4 touchdowns by Josh Allen. They're well back into what you expect them. And I mean, I guess a silver lining for the Steelers, you could possibly say, just the way that game ended. I guess what was it? Lawson went in with a somewhat dirty of a hit to around right when the game was ending, and Pickett didn't just take it. He went in. He kind of just he stood up for himself, and he kind of started a fight in between everyone. Probably not the best thing realistically for him to do, but hey, I mean, it shows some character for him, and that's kind of something that I mean could be something that you could see for his future, for the future of the chemistry of the Steelers, kind of getting behind him after seeing him doing something like that. So I mean, sure, the Steelers are gonna really struggle this year, but I honestly do have high hopes for Kenny Pickett to see what he can be in the next 2-3 years.
We'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. So moving right along, we got another pretty highly anticipated match. We got the Chargers at the Browns, which was honestly all Browns to start, but obviously then the Chargers would fight back as they usually do. But another great game by Jacoby Brissett. He's obviously proving himself in the absence of Deshaun Watson, but Justin Herbert just kept the Chargers in it, and slowly but surely they ended up coming back and they took the lead, and even getting an interception that looked like was just going to seal it for sure. But I don't know, Brandon Staley, he has these little analytics decisions, and going for it on 4th down on their own side of the field, and that almost cost them the game with the Browns ended up getting in field goal range for Cade York, but he ended up missing, I believe, 48-yarder, 50-something yarder, and they ended up getting saved at the end. But some of this decision making looks a little shaky by the Chargers. But in the end, hey, they're back above 500, and they're still on track in that AFC West.
I mean, overall, I would say this was a good game too. I mean, like you said, the Browns. At half, it was only, what was it? It was 21. It was 21-17. It was a 4-point game at half, right? Browns had the lead, so look, it was a still close game, But Browns really in the 4th quarter, I don't think I've been saying this on the podcast, but I've been catching it recently. most teams, like, they haven't really been doing anything in the fourth, and it just really, other than the Titans, they've been outscored in the fourth quarter, like I think 17-0, but still managed to win. That's just all defense, to be honest. But like in the Browns situation, like Jacoby Brissett, like he is in that right now in the absolute Deshaun Watson until he comes back. Week 12 or week 11? I know it's past week 10, but I don't remember.
12.
I think so too. But I mean, even when you got Nick Chubb in the backfield, I mean, it just really isn't enough for them to win. That Browns defense, I would have expected it to be led by, Denzel Ward to be the leader of that defense. He's been with the Browns for a couple years now. I've always followed Denzel Ward since he got drafted to the Browns. I always liked him as a corner. I always thought he was good. Some people overrate him, but I mean, I just feel like he's a good player, But obviously, it's not working well. There's bad coaching here and there with them. I mean, the Chargers too. I mean, it was a close game, but like you said, Staley, he is a little gutsy going for that fourth down. But I mean, almost blew them a game. It really, really would have showed them what happened if they lost that game. They would have been all on him. But again, it's not just the coaching; it's just really all around, just how the players are, especially against the Browns. I mean, I'm not gonna say that Browns are a horrible team right now. I mean, they're 2-3. I mean, they're just 2 games shy of over 500. So I would expect the Browns maybe at least 10-7 by the end of the season. Possibly Deshaun Watson getting them a winning record, but playoffs, it doesn't seem too high for the Browns.
Yeah.
So moving right along, we got another division matchup. The Bears at the Vikings. This one was another good game,
Bears almost coming back. I mean,
Bears did almost come back, but yeah, Captain Kirk doing what he does, Finally, he's doing well right now. Almost 300 yards and a touchdown. Jay Jettis doing phenomenal as usual. 12 catches for 154 yards. No touchdowns, which is pretty surprising. But I mean, Vikings are 4-1. They're on top of the NFC North over the Packers. I feel like you should feel some sort of gratitude or satisfaction right now, since you did pick the Vikings to take the division. So I mean, you must feel
it's looking good so
far. Happy about that right now.
Yeah. Just the only thing, at least for I guess the coming back from the second half, you see how the defense started faltering. I mean, they had I don't remember the exact numbers, but they had a really sizable lead on the Bears to start, but they chipped away, and I believe they took the lead for a slight bit.
11 at halftime. It was 20. It was 21-10. Yeah, they had a 11-point lead.
Yeah, it was, obviously you just expected them to keep going, and I think they tied it. I think the Bears tied it 22-22, and then obviously the Vikings ended up taking that lead right back, and the Bears were close. They were driving. They could have possibly come down to tie for overtime, but Justin Fields, he threw, was it an interception or was it that one that he just kind of like ripped it out of the receiver's hands and ended up sealing the game there. I think exactly, but it was a really great defensive play. I just remember that.
I think it's when he ripped it. I don't.
He just completely took it out of his hands and.
I don't remember what happened.
Great defense, obviously, that saved the game, because realistically, Justin Fields was looking good, at least near the tail end of the game, and I mean, it's I guess a little bright for the Bears. There's not too much that's been going well from this year, at least from how it started. But
Fields has been having back-to-back mediocre games.
So it's just the main thing is just the Vikings, and they're obviously on my pick. It's looking good so far. It's just you still expect the Packers to wake up here there somewhere along the line, but so far I'm feeling solid about that. And moving right along, this was a big disappointment for the two of us. We expected the Lions to play a little better, but they ended up getting shut out by third stringer Bailey Zappi. So 29-0 Patriots taking this one.
That's bad on me.
Absolutely destroyed right here. So I mean, I don't know, not much to say. It was just a complete dismantling by the Patriots. In style too, they brought out their old throwback helmets, throwback jerseys,
Those are very nice jerseys.
Really nice look for this game. But I mean, yeah, just Bailey Zappi's looking really good. He's just surprising. He was a 6th-round pick, and he's just really. I mean, not much to say. It's just after you saw him what he did against the Packers last week, really almost outdueling Aaron Rodgers, and now with his first actual start, he's actually looking good. So obviously in Mac Jones' absence, he hasn't missed a beat. The Patriots are looking all right. I don't remember exactly when Mac Jones will be back, but you see this, and it's kind of looking a little hopeful for the Patriots, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of starting to say how like the Lions have been. It's kind of like I guess a reality check. The Lions have been pretty overrated lately now. I mean, they did have that number 1 offense. Well, they do. I would assume they still have it. I think number 1 scoring offense, but that defense is like bad. That defense is horrible. The fact that they didn't at least get a field goal, I think that was just the eye-opener saying that I think that everyone was just like having too much high hopes for the Lions. I had hopes for the Lions for them to do like at least decent, but I think after that win, they just really haven't done anything so far. I mean, it's barely gonna be week 6. I mean, anything could happen. They could possibly turn it around, but I mean, it's the Lions, so like I really doubt anything would happen. So moving on from that, we have another good game. So this week was pretty good. Seahawks at the Saints. Saints came away with that victory, 7 points. I mean, looking at the Seahawks, Geno Smith, he didn't have a bad game.
Yeah, he had a great game. He
had a great game. Don't get me wrong.
A lot of great touchdown throws.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett looked well too. But I mean, hey, it's that defense, man. Just like every other team so far, the defense is really was struggling with them. Geno Smith, he had a lot of weight on his back, taking the place of Russell Wilson, who was the Seahawks franchise quarterback from that time, from the Super Bowl run in that era. So obviously he does have a lot of weight on that. He did have a lot of weight coming into that quarterback position. Don't get me wrong, Geno Smith, like he's proving everyone wrong. Everyone was looking at Geno Smith with his time in the Jets, how bad he was, blah blah blah. But hey, don't get me wrong, he's having a good season with Seattle right now. They're 2-3, so it's not that bad right now because the NFC West. I mean, they're having a mid off, other than the Niners, who are 3-2, winning the division. But Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals, they're all 2-3. They're all 2-3. Yeah. They're all 2-3. So pretty much that division, honestly, in my opinion, it's pretty much up for grabs. If I'm being honest with you. But I mean, the Saints. I mean, Taysom Hill, man, 4 touchdowns. I mean, what can't that man do? What can't he do?
Yeah, no, I mean. They had, I think, 3 different guys throw a touchdown in that game. Both, Dalton, Hill, and the punter, I believe. I don't remember who that was, but it's just, I think this is one of the few games we disagreed on, and I did take the Saints. For how Geno Smith looked, it was not a bad call to take the Seahawks here, but he was outdueled by Andy Dalton of all guys, and it's just It was a great game to watch. Always just an offensive slugfest too. I mean, yeah, you see these high scoring, obviously in the 30s, but just in the end, the Saints offense pulled away, which they're looking pretty solid. I did have them as a playoff team this year, and sure they've been struggling for a good part of the season, but they have had some pretty rough matchups. So we'll see as the season progresses how they unfold as a team. But I honestly do have high hopes, especially with Jameis coming back soon. Hopefully we'll see how he helps him. But obviously Andy Dalton's maintaining this team really well. And just the other thing, Chris Olave got hurt, didn't he? He's gonna miss some time now, and that's gonna be one thing that could hinder them. Obviously he's just been probably the backbone of this offense. Really, their number 1 receiver, probably the best rookie receiver in the league. It's awful to see him go down like this, but you just hope for the best for him to get back to 100% soon, and keep going on this tear that he's been on this early in the year.
High hopes are up for the Saints right now. I feel like Andy Dalton is gonna do a good job until Jameis Winston does come back from his injury. Oh no, isn't Jameis? It's with his back, no? Jameis Winston.
He had like a couple broken ribs, didn't
I think so. He broke his back in 4 different places. I don't think he's gonna come back. And I think they already released a report that I don't think he's coming back. I don't know. I gotta look at it again. But I mean, if Andy Dalton, he's been everywhere for the past couple of years. I mean, he was at Cincy, then went to the Cowboys, then with the Bears, and then landed with the Saints. And I mean, in his time with Cincinnati, I mean, he did have his up and down seasons, but I mean, as a backup, he's not bad. I mean, we saw how he did in Dallas. Towards the end, he kind of did okay, but it really wasn't enough to help us. But as a backup, I think he's fine. I think the Saints are going to be fine this season. But other than that, it was just a back and forth match between both teams. Seahawks, I feel like the Seahawks are going to be fine too. Geno Smith's finally going to get in his groove once again, and I feel both teams are going to do well this year.
Yeah, you said that well. So let's just move right along to another pretty big shocker here. We got the Dolphins at the Jets, which the Jets just blew them away by far. Which, I mean, it does make sense. They were down to a backup in Teddy Bridgewater, and even he gets knocked out in a concussion. So now they're back to a third stringer Saunders. So it was looking pretty bleak for the Dolphins from the start, and with Zach Wilson actually having a really great game here, getting the ball to I think it was Barrios, who he's probably his favorite target nowadays. I mean, you just see the score 40-17. It was just a real eye opener for the Jets, I guess, because I mean, obviously with going against a third string quarterback, it's a little you don't get the full picture, but I mean they were still having to face the normal Dolphins defense, and they put a 40 on them. So I mean, who knows if I mean the Jets are looking somewhat respectable as this young season goes on. As I said, I do have high hopes for Zach Wilson, at least in the future, and this is something that kind of just it puts him up there. It makes him look pretty good. So we'll see once they face teams that are actually at 100% more as we go. But this was a pretty good game by the Jets just overall.
Yeah, I mean the Jets they did look really good. Don't get me wrong. Zach Wilson, he did pretty decent. But I mean, if we're really looking into it, in the third quarter, I mean, it was pretty much neck to neck the whole game. Other than the fourth. I mean, the Jets did outscore them 21-0, which was that defense of the Dolphins really struggled. Especially, I mean, honestly, when they're when they were 3-1, everyone expected now the Dolphins to do well, but after Tua being out with the concussion, as we all know, he should not have played that Thursday night game. I don't know what the medical staff was thinking, but it really took a toll on him. Now he's gonna miss a couple weeks. I'm sorry, but I mean, other than that, the Jets they look very well this season. I mean, they're above 500. They're 3-2, so I mean, looking really good for the Jets. Now moving on to the next game. I would say a controversial game. Falcons at the Buccaneers, another divisional matchup. It was 15-21. Realistically, this should not have been a close game. I mean, Tom Brady. I mean, he did have a what was that? A 351-yard game, a touchdown. Lenny. I mean, he had a good game too, 83 yards and a touchdown. But it just really came down to that one abysmal, horrendous call in the fourth quarter. The roughing the passer on Brady Jarrett. Anyone with an IQ of 10 would have said that was not a roughing the passer. What else do you expect them to do? Grab him softly and just lightly put him on the ground? That was just a horrible call at all. I feel like that call, I mean, I will say honestly, it costed him the game.
Oh, it did, because that was on third down. That would have pushed them out, and they would have had to punt it.
It was only a 6-point game, so
realistically, because at this point the Falcons were staging a fierce comeback, and I honestly think that the way it was looking, I mean, they were on a groove. I'm pretty sure the Falcons would have driven down and possibly just won the game with this. I mean, it really hold them right there on that call. Is just I mean, what it comes down to is Brady getting calls like he kind of usually does, and I mean, it just sucks. It takes away from a possibly a big upset, and I mean, who knows a season changing win it could have been for the Falcons, but obviously the refs had other plans, and it just gave Brady a somewhat easy win now with that call.
Easy win, but I mean, again, I would say it's a disappointing win, especially with that Tampa Bay team. Injuries here and there, but I mean, I would have expected them to blow out the Falcons. I mean, we did get the pick right. The Bucs were going to beat the Falcons, but I mean, come on now. Let's be realistic here. If it wasn't for that bad call, I feel like Falcons could have had a chance to win that game. If we're being realistic, it would have been a huge upset. That game would have really depicted Brady's future again. If he should have stayed retired, or if the Bucs could possibly even make playoffs after that loss. It's still early in the season, don't get me wrong. But that Bucs defense was doing well in the beginning, but now they're just struggling a bit. But I mean, other than that, it was just a really, really bad call that costed the Falcons a possible nice comeback.
Yeah. Really, yeah, it's just the refs are looking just abysmal in a lot of aspects, not just roughing the passer, just a lot of things. But that's just something we're used to now as NFL fans. It's just inconsistency for the most part. So yeah, move along from that game. We got another pretty mediocre matchup, but I mean it turned out to be quite a surprising one. We got the Titans at the Commanders, which you expected the Titans to kind of run away with this, how the Commanders were looking, but honestly Carson Wentz, he had a great start to this. He kept up and even taking the lead with some pretty nice throws, getting it to Curtis Samuel and I forget who else, but just their offense was flying pretty well, but it just came down to Derrick Henry having another solid game. And usually, as we say every week, when Derrick Henry does good, that's when the Titans start to heat up. And obviously they were up 21-17 going into the end, but the Commanders were about to win it. They had first and goal at about like the 3-4 yard line, but the Commanders kept faltering until third and goal, and Carson Wentz just throws another one of his costly interceptions to end the game. And it's just another average Carson Wentz thing we're used to seeing these days, and the Titans hold on.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know why everyone thought that. I know a lot of people thought Carson Wentz was going to turn that franchise around. Coming back to the NFC East, since he was first with Philly. But I mean, from the looks of it, really, if we're looking at their first win, I mean, it was against the Jaguars, no? Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking back at their first win, I mean, they came back for that W. They came back for the win. The Jaguars really choked that. But I mean, there's really nothing much to say other than the Commanders. I mean, looking back at Ron Rivera, I mean, the way you want to depict it, I don't know, because the question was what stopping him from not being fourth in the division. He did say quarterback. It could have been depicted wrong. It could have been saying like the other teams, their quarterbacks are like the reason they're up, or maybe he did mean to throw Carson under the bus, which is a pretty dickhead move, especially with Ron Rivera. And like you said, you have his respect for him. I do as well. Ron Rivera, I always saw him as a really great guy, easy to get his respect from. But after that comment, I just lost a lot of respect for me. Like, there's no way the quarterback that you traded for in the offseason, and now you're just throwing him under the bus. Like, if we're being realistic here, it's kind of his fault. So most of the blame should be on him for coaching decisions, Yeah. But I mean, other than that, it was just another, I want to say, bad game for the Commanders. They did do pretty decent. They just couldn't finish. At all. All right, so moving on from that, we have another division matchup. Very, very bad game that I'm really not going to go over just how bad it was. Texans at the Jaguars. Texans finally got their first win of the 2022 season. 13-6. Trevor Lawrence. Pretty bad game. Yeah, he had 2 interceptions. On the Texans, Dameon Pierce, he's looking very good for the Texans. You know, he was 1 yard shy of 100 yards. He had a touchdown, so the Texans could maybe have some life if it takes Dameon Pierce, but that could be a ballsy shot. Marvin Jones, he did have he had 104 yards. This game was just boring in general. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of fell asleep like 20 minutes looking at this game. It was just that boring. I really got nothing other much to say. But Jaguars, I mean, they're looking decent. Texans are still looking bad. I mean, there's pretty much nothing else to say. It was just an abysmal game.
Yeah, no, I mean, basically all you said. I mean, you just really expected the Jaguars to blow them away the way they were looking so far, but I don't know if their little early magic ran out, or if it's just one of those Trevor Lawrence games. But I mean, he almost had 300 yards, but did throw 2 interceptions. That's just that's just the thing with him. He does always have turnover trouble, and against a poor team like the Texans, you know, it kind of takes away the thought that they could probably sneak into the playoffs if something like this keeps going. But I mean, yeah, like you said, the highlight of this game was Dameon Pierce. He had that, I mean, just incredible run that he broke like 6 or 7 tackles all the way down to the 1, which, I mean, yeah, I mean, great for him, great for the Texans, he could probably either be a piece for them for their future once their rebuild gets a little closer, or they just trade him to a contender and they can get somewhere closer along that rebuild, whatever they do. But still a great asset there, and a win is a win for the Texans, I guess you could just call it. So moving on from that, we got another an easy expected game to call here. We got the 49ers at the Panthers, which just another one of those games for Baker. I mean, he played a tough opponent here in the Niners, and I mean they just got shut down from the start. Honestly, there was not much. He didn't even throw a touchdown. I believe it was just a bunch of field goals in this game. And I mean, what else can you say? This was the last straw for the Panthers. We finally got our first head coach fired this year. We got Matt Rule. That's it for him. He's done. This is probably what we expected. I think I do remember mentioning that he was probably the first one to go. One of us did mention that earlier in some earlier episode. And I mean, it was just pretty expected. He wasn't cutting it as an NFL head coach. Sure, he looked great at Baylor, but realistically didn't do too much there in the time he had. So I mean, it was just about time. They'll have Steve Wilkes at the interim role, and we'll see where they go from there in their head coaching search at the end of the year. But just a solid win for the Niners. What else can you say?
You pretty much summed it up for them. I mean, looking at the Panthers, I mean, we talked about it a lot, me and you, every episode so far, that we wanted Baker to succeed in Carolina. You know, I've been trying to back him up, saying those injuries really screwed him over. But right now that he's healthy, right now that he's a little healthier, he's just not doing well for the Panthers. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him at the end of the season, which would be pretty stupid. But I mean, really, it was just bad for the Panthers. They're 1-4, Niners 3-2, top of the NFC West. I mean, it's looking pretty decent for them. Jimmy Garoppolo can get in the groove again. I feel like Niners can go forward into the season, but for the Panthers, they have a lot to go. So, moving on to our game. I say, I'll let you.
You know what? Let me. I'll let you.
I'll let you rant. I'll let you rant before
I'll let you start this off, since I'm gonna have a decent amount to say. I'll let you. Okay. I'll let you cover your points first.
Thank you. So, excuse me. This game, I expected the Cowboys to win, and I got it correct. I had high hopes for this game. Defense and special teams started out very strong in the beginning. That strip sack that I think it was
Marcus Lawrence.
No, it was
Lawrence
Dorrance
got the touchdown.
Dorrance Armstrong forced that, and then Marcus Lawrence scooped it up for the touchdown. I was like, so far it was already starting off to a good start. Then Dorrance Armstrong again ends up blocking Riley Dixon's punt, recovers it. We get inside the I think it was inside the 20. We only got a field goal out of that, which annoyed me a lot. And then obviously Tony Pollard breaks loose for a 57-yard touchdown and looked really well. He rushed for, I think it was 86 yards and a touchdown. So look, well, the rushing attack. Rushing attack was phenomenal. Kellen Moore was finally utilizing both running back Zeke and Pollard. Zeke had 73 yards. So, I mean, he's having some pretty okay games so far. Pollard looking really, really well. The defensive side, Micah Parsons playing like a top dog with that groin injury. And then he seals the game with the game-winning strip sack once again. Like, Micah Parsons is scary. Like, he is obviously the leader of that defense. Trayvon Diggs, I mean, not including those two big plays, and we're excluding those big plays with Cup and who was the other receiver? Number 15 on the Rams?
Tutu Atwell.
If we're excluding those two plays, it really didn't make a difference in that defense. Because, I mean, with Cubs' touchdown, it was catch on the run. But, I mean, again, Diggs was beat. I can't say it. I mean, I can't really say anything about that. The one on Tutu Atwell, I mean, I wouldn't say it was perfect coverage. He was there. He was slightly beat. He did almost tip the ball. But, I mean, he still got beat. You can't really say other than that. I mean, he did own up to allowing 10 points. But, I mean, other than those two plays, defense played phenomenal. I hate hearing these arguments saying that Rush is going to replace Dak when he comes back. It's not going to happen. Rush barely threw for 100 yards that game. No turnovers, though. That's a good thing. Doing his job, no turnovers, good. That defense is really the main reason why he's winning. I feel like when Dak comes back, we're going to start blowing. I feel like we're going to start blowing out teams. Hence, we have Philly Sunday night next week. I really hope we beat Philly. Man, Dak literally swamped them last season. I really want to humble these Philly fans. I really want to humble them bad. I got nothing else much to say besides keep that rushing attack that's like consistent. Once that comes back, it's the jack of all trades. We're doing fine this season. I'm not gonna say it's our year. I'm not gonna be that Cowboys fan, but anything could happen. Yeah. So I think it's time to let you on your little rant.
Yeah, for me, I mean, just another week, another rant on this team. This week I came prepared. I got a whole list of things that I want to touch up on. I mean, I'm gonna just start from the top. Start with the offense. I mean, Matthew Stafford, it's just the same old. He forces it to Cup. But you know what? Actually, let's start with the real issue. Let's start with the O-line. I do understand that with the injuries we got. I think we got two O-line, two guards in Cole Michelle and then David Edwards, who are now on IR, which, I mean, that I understand now. And we got our center Brian Allen. He's also injured, so there's that to worry about. I do understand that we're weak because of that, but in 5 games we have 5 different O-line lineups. It's just we're probably the worst O-line in the league. We have the worst protection on Stafford, and although some of the blame does land on him because he does try to force it into Cup a lot more than he should, it comes down to he has no protection and he's hurried too much. But I mean, it's just the another couple things. I mean, he's not exempt from at fault. He still, his accuracy is looking really abysmal recently. All these turnovers are really starting to add up. He obviously leads the NFL in interceptions, as he has been, I think, last year too. And I mean, just what can you say? Cup can only do so much. Obviously, as you said, what I had predicted from last week, he was going to get to Diggs at least once, and he had that beautiful 75-yard touchdown, which, I mean, that really woke me up. That really got me excited after really a bad start with the fumble and the block punt. That really gave me hope. We went up 10-9, but that was all the offense did, unfortunately. just couple more other things, I guess. A-Rob needs to wake up. I mean, he's sure he has he's not getting the targets he needs, but it's also a fact that he's not really being productive when he does get targets. There's he's really, he doesn't have the best footwork. He has a couple drops, so there's just some things that he needs to pick it up on. Obviously, it comes down to probably working on chemistry with Stafford, but there's some stuff that he has to improve on too. And obviously, it just goes back to injuries too. We need Van Jefferson back as soon as possible. I remember we realistically can't even get him back until week 8 or 9, which it's gonna be hard for this team to stay afloat without our second best receiver. And just I said it last week and I'll say again, re-signing OBJ once he gets back from his injury is going to be a top priority, because we really need help to get the load off of Cooper, and it's just looking really rough with him being our only legitimate target, and obviously our running game being non-existent, with Cam Akers really not even knowing how to hit a hole anymore. It just really one-dimensional as a.
Yeah, he had a huge open goal. I think it was the second quarter, man.
Yeah,
and he could have got a whole load of yards. I mean, the safety's right there, but I don't know why he decided to run into that. That's pretty stupid.
Yeah, we're just one-dimensional at this point. It's really, as long if they can ever contain Cooper Kupp, then it's an easy win for whoever's playing us, and that's just that's the main thing I gotta say. It's just really, for the first time ever, you see McVay honestly looking clueless as a coach leading this team. It just looks it's hard, because I mean he's not innovating as much as you're used to seeing him, just always adapting whenever is necessary. And for the most part, it's just we got to start working with what we got. We have a long list of injuries, a long list of key players on IR, especially on the defense. Even with our defense being so banged up, that's probably our only bright spot, and that's the thing. Obviously, I think yet again this week we only allowed, aside from that fumble, which was on the offense thing, I think we only allowed like 16 points, which realistically you should win a game when your defense holds the team with that. I think we only allowed 1 or 2 touchdowns, and the rest, the defense is really good at holding the opposition to field goals, which when you see that, usually you're winning games. But when the offense is as abysmal as us right now, it's going to be hard. And I'm not going to drag this on too long, as I probably did last week, but it just comes down to the offensive line, honestly. So I guess that's basically where I'm going to leave it there. I'll see if anyone notices, I did even remove my Rams flags. Right now it's Dodgers time. I'm pushing the Rams to the side for a little bit, just because they're too disappointing for me at this moment. But yeah, let's just move on from that, and hopefully let the Rams move on from these performances. So let's talk about the best team in football right now, the Eagles and the Cardinals, which just another game. I didn't pay any attention to this one at all, obviously, watching the Cowboys Rams. I'm assuming you didn't either, but obviously
I like that when the freaking Cardinals
came down to the kick at the end. Matt Amendola missed the potential tying kick to send it into overtime, and the Eagles escaped with a 20-17 win, and obviously they stay 5-0. Jalen Hurts, he was a little more effective running the ball, as has been we have been accustomed to seeing recently. He got 2 rushing touchdowns. Obviously, this is something that it plays to his advantage. And Kyler with 250 yards, 1 touchdown. It's just your average Kyler game. He didn't do bad by any means. He kept the team in the game, which that's what you want for the most part from your quarterback. And he did what he could. He got them into field goal range, and sure, there was that play at the end. I do remember seeing that he slid, and they ended up wasting a little bit of time that they could have used to maybe get him a couple more yards. And at that point, probably would have been an easier field goal for Amendola to probably actually send it in overtime, but it is what it is, and just like that, I mean, you see the Eagles are undefeated, and we'll see that Sunday night test they're gonna have next week.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Cardinals had the chance to possibly type that game, but Amendola shanked it wide right. I mean, it kind of pissed me off because it was going to show that the Eagles, I mean, they've been winning close games lately. And especially with how good our defense is right now, I have hopes that the Eagles are going to struggle with us. They really are. They've been struggling with us with the past seasons, especially when Dak comes back. You know, he's going to get the team back. The chemistry good with the receivers now that Gallup's back. He's kind of getting used to it again since that ACL injury. But when that Dak and Gallup connection comes back, it's going to be a solid. It's going to be extremely solid. I just really hope we prove the Eagles wrong, honestly, Sunday night. I mean, other than that, I mean, the Cardinals, they're not looking too bad right now. I mean, Kyle's kind of getting back a little bit, but they just got a lot to recover. And moving on to our final Sunday game, Sunday night, we have the Bengals at the Ravens. Justin Tucker, the greatest kicker to ever roam this earth. Game-winning field goal down the middle. Really can't say much about that. I mean, Justin Tucker really.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great divisional matchup overall. It's just a vintage Bengals Ravens game. You know, close game. It came down the wire as usual. I mean, Lamar was a little subpar, let's be honest, but I mean, he
kept getting pressured.
Because I mean that Bengals defense kind of finally woke up a little bit. I mean, against a good opponent. We've seen the Bengals. They've kind of only really shown up against lesser opponents, recently at least. But here they were up to the task, and it was just unfortunate they allowed the Ravens to get into Tucker's field goal range, and you know once he's in range, he's basically automatic. So you see, I mean, Joe Burrow played respectably. 217 yards and a touchdown. That's I mean, it's nothing crazy, but you know, for his standards, that's a great game. And it's like you said, it's Justin Tucker, man. He's just automatic. When you get him like even 60 yards in, that's all he needs, man.
Yeah, Justin Tucker's that guy. And looking at the Bengals again, that O-line is just horrible. I don't think, how is Joe Burrow going to be able to succeed with that O-line? He's going to end up being another Andrew Luck. Concussions is going to mess up his mentality, and he's going to retire early. You know, and then adding Lelo Collins took him from the Cowboys. He didn't do anything. He was getting beat. He was getting beat every night once again. It just doesn't look well. But the Ravens are looking good again.
Yeah, and well, moving on to our final game of the week, we got a crazy Monday nighter just yesterday. We got the Raiders at the Chiefs. So you mentioning right now, the Raiders, they were up 17-0, and just like they were. I mean, I think the Cardinals game, they also had a sizable lead. Just here again, they blew it. Just typical Raiders fashion as we've been seeing recently.
I knew they were going to.
I mean, what can you say? That you would have expected. I mean, we both took the Chiefs relatively, like we thought it was going to be an easy call, but still the Raiders were surprising. Obviously, Devontae had that that wonderful touchdown catch in the first quarter, and you know they just took off from there. It was I believe 20-10 at halftime, and just little by little the Chiefs just stormed back and obviously took the lead. I think Travis Kelce, that chemistry with Mahomes is just unmatched. That's probably the best tight end quarterback duo in football history right there. He had another game, and they connected just on another level. And even with the refs really holding the Chiefs with that another atrocious roughing the passer call on Chris Jones, that was possibly even worse than the one on Brady. But
it was worse because he did force a fumble that the Chiefs did recover.
Yeah, it's just Hey, but I mean, thankfully that didn't affect the outcome as much as it did in the Falcons game. The Chiefs did rightfully keep this win. It came down to that final play where Hunter Renfrow just played better defense than any of the Chiefs did on that play on Devontae Adams, and took him down unintentionally. And obviously Devontae was pissed, and he took it out on a cameraman for whatever.
And now he's filing for a lawsuit, so easy money for him.
Like that half-assed apology was gonna really do anything on Twitter, but hey, well, we'll see how that unfolds, and maybe we'll have some more news on that on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's just looking really bad for the Raiders. I mean, I kind of expected the Raiders to do bad this season.
Yeah.
So I mean, blowing that 17-0 lead, as soon as the Chiefs got the lead, I was already like, that's a wraps. And the fact that McDaniel decided to go for the 2 when he could have easily tied the game, and then they stopped the Chiefs, right? They got the ball back, could have easily finished it with the field goal, and it would have been game. But no, not Mike McDaniels. I'm sorry, Josh McDaniels just decides to do another bad coaching decision, and he screws the Raiders over. But then again, it's the Raiders. Raiders are going to Raiders are winning 4. Chiefs are 4-1. Looking good for the Chiefs right now. Raiders struggling a lot. Don't really expect much from them these upcoming weeks. I mean, they got a decent schedule, so see what will go on from there.
Yeah, and that wrapping up our Week 5 recap. Let's see how we did on our predictions. Obviously, Christian, this week you went 9-7. I went 11-5.
It was so mediocre. God.
Puts you at 41-39, just 2 above 500, and me comfortably in the lead now at 45-35, a whole 10 above 500. Feeling all these disagreements we had. I took the upper hand on the most of them. Aside probably that Rams game, that was the one that really hurt me the most, but I'm feeling comfortable so far.
I don't know. I'm telling you, bro, I'm getting hugged. But it doesn't matter. Let's get right on to the predictions. So, Thursday night.
Before we get into that, we have our first slate of teams on a bye. So, teams that are out of action this week. We got the Lions, Titans, Raiders, and Texans. So, that's obviously we won't be covering them this week. That is
their bye weeks are gonna win.
This is it, yeah. So they start off on the bye. Now, obviously, let's get started. Another really mediocre Thursday night game. Just I don't know what Prime Video is doing with, or what the schedule makers are doing here, but got the Commanders at the Bears to kick off our week of football. I mean, not much to be said here. Honestly, for me, it's gonna have to be the Bears in this matchup. It's just the way Carson's looking, not much to really be interested in here. We'll see. I mean, I'm hoping Justin Fields can pick it up as he looked somewhat solid against the Vikings last week, but just I mean, to me, straightforward. I'll see the Bears coming out on top here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to agree with you on here. I mean, two pretty Bears are okay. Commanders are trash right now. So I mean, Chicago. I mean, they do have the upper hand here against the Commanders, especially how bad the Commanders have been playing this season so far. So it's pretty obvious to go with the Bears here. So moving on to on the Sunday games, starting with our first 10 a.m. game, we have San Fran against Atlanta. This one's a no-brainer. I'm going with San Francisco on this one. I mean, Jimmy G. I feel like this is another game. Although, before I do say more, Atlanta has been they've been despite the losses, they've been lately. I'm going to give them an and since they haven't been losing by a lot, especially how close they were with Tampa. But I feel like San Francisco, I feel like they're going to beat them by at least, I'll say 14 points. I'll say San Fran beats Atlanta by 14 points. They do have the upper hand here, so I'm going to go with San Francisco.
I mean, to me, that's just about the same analysis I'd have for this. It's easy to go with San Francisco here. Just I mean, they're looking really solid. Obviously, I hate them. Probably my least favorite team in the league, but they're doing it all right now. Obviously, they destroyed us, and it's just, I mean, as you said, the Falcons really are looking like they don't go down easy. Probably, as we like to talk about the Lions, but yeah, I mean, Mariota, he's a pretty good placeholder so far. Obviously, just as a placeholder at the moment for the Falcons, but he's holding it down well enough. But I mean, in the end, I'm just gonna have to say the Niners, probably as much as you said, probably a 14 point win here.
Yeah.
And yeah, to move along, we got another pretty good matchup. We got the Patriots at the Browns. Two teams that, I mean, they're both 2-3. They're not doing their best, but the Patriots coming off a win and the Browns coming off of a loss against a good Chargers team here that the Browns probably could have won, but it just came down to that field goal. So I mean, to me, I honestly think the Browns will come out on top in this one. Brissett probably just bounces back. He's obviously just on and off. It depends to see how he goes week in, week out. But I mean, with Nick Chubb, obviously he's just another one of those top running backs in this league. I really think it'll be a bit much for the Patriots in the end, and just a solid game. Obviously, them being at home, they'll have somewhat of an advantage, and I think they'll get a solid win here.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots. Bailey Zapp. I mean, I don't want to say it was a one-game wonder with Bailey Zapp, but I feel like he could possibly turn the Patriots around until Mac Jones comes back against the Browns. I feel like the Browns are going to lose with another heartbreak by at least 2 or 3 points against the Patriots. Patriots have been Bailey Zapp. I mean, again, he did okay that game against Detroit, but it was Detroit. Browns are better than the Lions, but I'm sticking with my picture on the Patriots being the Browns. I feel like they have the slight upper hand. So moving right along, we have the Packers at the Jets. Now, really, in my opinion, I would say this game would go both ways, but I'm gonna have to go with the Packers again. I'm gonna go with the Packers for the second week in a row, or I don't know, to be honest, but I feel like this is what the game where they beat the Jets, finally get their groove back. But depending how Aaron Rodgers throws the ball, how he gets it to his receivers, it's really all going to depend. And then, Zach Wilson, I mean, that Packers defense has been iffy a little bit. So maybe Zach Wilson can get a little out there with his receivers, but I'm going to stick with the Packers on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't see it too much as close of a matchup as it seems you do. But, I mean, yeah, sure. Obviously, as I keep saying, I am high on Zach Wilson for the most part, but it just comes down to I really don't think Rodgers is gonna have any sort of struggle, especially coming off of a loss like he did last week, a really rough loss that it was. It's just I feel he's just gonna come out on fire and just really shut down the Jets, especially at home at Lambeau. That's just he's on another level when he is, for the most part. But I mean, to me, it's a sound win for the Packers. We're in agreement here. And
yep.
To move on, there's another big AFC South matchup here. This is the turnaround game of the Jaguars Colts. We already saw the Jaguars winning at home the last time out, I believe week 2. I don't know, man. It's just the way these two teams look. It's hard to gauge, but I'm gonna just go with my gut and I'm gonna say the Colts. They've been splitting these matchups almost every single year, and I'm gonna go with my gut that the Colts. I mean, I wouldn't say figure it out, but I think this is just gonna be an ugly game that the Colts end up coming out on top. I mean, hopefully, if Jonathan Taylor has his kind of normal game, I'm probably gonna say that, and Matt Ryan's gonna play subpar, but it'll be enough in my opinion.
I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars on this one. We're coming to some disagreements, but Jacksonville, I mean, they've been beating the Colts for the past couple of years already. It's kind of like a yearly thing now, but I feel like Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback in this situation. Matt Ryan, after that Thursday game, he couldn't do anything. couldn't do anything. That's just my eye opener. Like I can't like go for the Colts this time. Man. Jacksonville is the slightly better team here, even though they've had their struggles here and there. But I'm sticking with Jacksonville, man.
I think they're going to be Colts.
And then moving on from that game, we have, I would say, another decent game. The Minnesota visits Miami. I'm going with Minnesota here. The Vikings have been on a roll lately. Jay Jettis has been doing phenomenal. Captain Kirk Cousins has been also doing well. If Tua does not play this week, I really doubt he's not good. I really doubt he'll play. But without Tua, I feel like the Dolphins are going to struggle. And with the weapons that Minnesota has right now, Kirk Cousins actually doing well. They could go far this season. I'm sticking with Minnesota to take this victory in Miami.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's about the same thing. Obviously, my pick to win the North. I've been high on the Vikings ever since we started talking. I mean, just to me, just not, on top of that, just how the Dolphins are looking, they're still going to be down to their third stringer. It's I mean, probably just it's going to be tough for them for a little bit. It really does hurt their playoff chances. That obviously I've been really high on them too, but with Tua just suffering that gruesome injury, now even Teddy not being in the mix, it's hard to really look at them bouncing back anytime soon, at least. So yeah, to me it's an easy call to say the Vikings go to 5-1 here, and I mean, yeah, like you said, probably Kirk Cousins and Jefferson having a pretty effective connection throughout this whole game. Yeah, obviously, just moving on to our next game, we got the Bengals at the Saints, which is a pretty good matchup. Obviously, who they against who that. They're both doing well enough. Obviously, they're both below 500, but I mean, to me, I'm gonna have to go with the Bengals. Honestly, just they're both looking a little subpar as what one would expect. Obviously, the Bengals coming off a Super Bowl appearance, but to me, I think Joe Burrow's gonna have a pretty solid game overall here against let's say a struggling Saints defense. So yeah, I mean, to me, straightforward enough. I'll say the Bengals come out on top.
Honestly, this is a hard pick for me. Because I feel like Andy Dalton can really help the Saints, especially after that Seahawks game. But again, it is Andy Dalton, and because of that, I'm gonna go with Cincy as well. They just got they have the better players all around right now, even with the struggles. I'm really going with Cincy again. Not again, but I'm going with them, even though with a horrible O-line. But I feel like they can just win, but I would say maybe a field goal. So I'm gonna stick with Cincy. So moving right along, we have Baltimore against the Giants. This one should be an easy no-brainer. I think I'm gonna go with Baltimore over the Giants here. I'm picking the Ravens because they're the better team right now, not because it's the NFC East. All right, the Ravens are better than the Giants as we speak right now. As of right now, Lamar Jackson is gonna go ham against that Giants defense, and the Giants will drop to 4-2, and it's gonna help my Cowboys a lot. Lamar Jackson has been doing very, very well. I think he had Justin Tucker with some good field goals. It's going to be a great game, so I'm sticking with Baltimore.
Now, I mean, to me, it's just I'm honestly really high on the Giants. Just looking at how they've been looking, it's just with Saquon back, it's obviously been doing wonders for their offense, and even Daniel Jones really stepping up as. I believe it's his fourth year, and he's looking better. Obviously, he's subject to a lot of jokes, but he's maintaining this team really well. I mean, still, all that being said, I'm gonna have to agree with you and say the Ravens here. As much as I like the way the Giants are looking, I do think Lamar is just gonna really run all over them and even exploit them with his passing. It's just I do also believe that the Ravens are the better team. As much as I like the Giants right now, but yeah, just I mean, we'll come to a consensus on that one. And moving on, our final morning game of Week 6, we got the Buccaneers at the Saints, which obviously the way things look, it's just about another no-brainer. We got Tom Brady against Kenny Pickett. It's a pretty easy call there. I'm gonna have to go with the Buccaneers. Just obviously with that Tampa defense is gonna really give Kenny Pickett some struggles. I see him throwing another couple interceptions here. It's rough going. He's got a pretty tough schedule to start his NFL career. It's a bit unfortunate that he has to go through all this right now, but that's just the NFL. That's what the learning process comes with, and you know it'll harden him up a bit, I guess. So it's obviously rough going for the Steelers at this point in the season, but it's a relatively easy call for me to go with the Bucs here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with the Bucs here. They're just really obviously better team by the long shot. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't doing well at all. You know, their quarterback, Mr. Trubisky, I had hopes for him doing well this season. Then Kenny Pickett took the starting job last week, and we know how that went. I don't think he's gonna do well this season if he keeps going along. So that's why I'm gonna just choose the Buccaneers. This is the easy dub for here. Next game, this is your game. The Carolina visits LA. I feel like this is the game where LA bounces back from their 2 straight losses. I mean, it is against Carolina, so I mean, it could be a possible dub for you guys, but I mean, to get your groove back against Carolina, I wouldn't say that because I mean they're a bad team right now. But if Stafford again, if he can control those turnovers, no lousy INTs, then I feel like Los Angeles can walk away with the W.
Yeah, I mean, to me, as ugly as it's been looking, I wouldn't call it a bounce back game, but I do believe that they're just gonna. I mean, you could call it a bounce back if you want, just being that they'll kind of hopefully at least set themselves into another groove. Just hopefully Stafford actually throws more touchdowns than interceptions in this game. And I mean, the Panthers defense is nothing too crazy. I'm expecting us to hopefully win by at least 10 here, you know, but
that's reasonable.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I hope, you know, Cup can just have another one of his games that he's used to having. And the defense, as much as I love how they're looking, I'm expecting hopefully Donald gets another sack or two, Ramsey maybe getting an interception, or it's just a game that I really expect the Rams to win. I was planning on going to this one, but it's just I'm pretty sure I won't be able to. But we'll see. Maybe I can do it. But just one other thing, I guess we could say, Baker's probably not playing, right? Because he's out with that injury. So that's just another thing that I hope to see the Rams really pull away here. But you know, yeah, go with the Rams obviously in this matchup. And moving on, we got another one of those NFC West matchups. We got the Cardinals at the Seahawks. Pretty good one here, obviously. But with both teams struggling, both 2-3, it's a rough call. I mean, obviously I got a lot of respect for both of these quarterbacks in this game, but with how things are looking, I'm gonna have to go with Geno Smith, and I'm gonna go with the Seahawks to win this game. I love Kyler. I love how the Cardinals have been looking, but I think just that attitude Geno brings to this team, it's gonna be enough to take down the Cardinals. I mean, their defense is nothing too crazy. Obviously, there's not much defense going around here. It'll probably be a good like 27-30 type game, but I think Geno will outduel Kyler here.
I'm going to go with Arizona on this one.
Another disagreement between us. I mean, think about it. If we're looking back to the Philly game, Cardinals almost. I mean, they technically did come back, right? If we're not looking back at that missed field goal, if they were to make that field goal and possibly come back with the win and beat the undefeated Eagles, it could have been a game. It could have been a season changer for the Cardinals. The Cardinals, they still have hope. They still have life for this season. Like I said, the NFC West technically still is up for grabs. But I feel like Kyler's gonna have a fantastic game. So will Geno Smith. It's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be a very close game. But you know, I got the Cardinals lock. I got the Cardinals taking this dub on this one. Yeah, my fault. So moving right along. After that, we have another very, very good game. We have the Bills at Kansas City. both of these teams are 4-1. There may be disagreement between us right now, but I'm gonna have to go with the Bills. I'm going with the Bills on this one. I feel like the Josh Allen can get the win against Patrick Mahomes in this very game. Josh Allen has been doing phenomenal, really, really well. Gabe Davis, standout. Stephon Diggs, I mean, a little quiet so far these past games, but I feel like he'll bounce back against these Kansas City defenders. But I mean, if they are up, Kansas City could possibly come back because that's what they did against the Raiders. I feel like this game's gonna be a shootout. Really, this game's gonna be a shootout. But I got the Bills winning this.
Yeah, well, you said it. You expect a disagreement out of this, and you're gonna get one. I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs here. It's just I mean, it's just Mahomes. He against all these young quarterbacks you see. I mean, there's always people talking about the next up and comer, the next Mahomes, the next everything. He is Mahomes. He's just that guy that you know everyone. He's just the guy in this generation. And to me, I mean, I don't think Josh Allen's beaten him yet. And I mean that's the thing. Obviously, a time's gonna come when it does happen, but I don't think it's this week. Especially they're at Arrowhead. You know how it gets there. I really believe that the Chiefs outdo them again. That defense. I mean, both of these teams have great defenses. It's just gonna be a really good matchup. Probably. I mean, between this one and obviously the Sunday nighter, these are just two of the best matchups of this week. And I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs. I'm gonna have to go with Mahomes to outduel Josh Allen, and it'll be a great game, regardless.
Yeah.
And of course, moving on to Sunday night, the nightcap, we got your Cowboys going against the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. To me, I mean, obviously this is. I mean, I'd probably say the Bills Chiefs to be the game of the week, but this is obviously the one of the most highly anticipated. Is probably, the biggest one of the season for your Cowboys so far, and for the Eagles, obviously, just the age-old rivalry. I mean, you probably won't like this, but I'm gonna have to say they go to 6-0 right here. I'm gonna have to go with my gut right here. The way I've been seeing, I really like Jalen Hurts. The way he's just been tearing everyone apart, and to me, I gotta say that it's. I mean, I see a close game. I see it coming down to the wire, but I see Jalen Hurts getting a nice game-winning drive, possibly a nice touchdown pass to AJ Brown to seal it at, and maybe let's call it 28-24 Eagles.
You know, I don't blame you for doing that. I don't at this time, even though when you did pick the Giants over the Cowboys, but I have to go, and I'm going to pick my Cowboys. I feel like this is the game where the Eagles will finally have competition. And look at the Cardinals game.
Absolutely.
The Cardinals were struggling. They're a struggling team from that game. In the match, they were up 17-0. The Cardinals did tie it, and really it just came down to that missed field goal. And I said it earlier. If it wasn't for that missed field goal, Cardinals could have possibly won that game, which is the whole momentum of the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles playing us is finally a challenge for them, especially with that defense led by Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. But again, I am going to have to put my weight on Trayvon Diggs. He's going to have to either guard Devonta Smith or AJ Brown, two great receivers that are helping Philly so far this season. I feel like he's going to have a good game too. That defense is going to do absolutely amazing. If Dak potentially plays, if he's able to grip that football still the same, and if he's able to play like he never left, I got the Cowboys winning by at least a couple points right here. It's going to be a very, very good game. But it really just depends on Dak and that defense if they're still able to play how they are. So I got to stick with my boys. So moving on to the Monday night game, the final game, another Broncos primetime game. Who keeps putting these games up for the Broncos? The Broncos at the Chargers. I got the Chargers winning this one. Chargers, they've been looking okay. They've been looking pretty decent so far. But against Denver, it's pretty much a no-brainer. The Chargers are going to beat the Broncos this time. Broncos. Russell Wilson still hasn't found anything with that offense. That coaching that Nathaniel Hackett is doing is horrible. I just don't see anything going for Denver, and I just got Los Angeles walking away with this dub. Chargers are taking it.
Yeah, you basically took it all right there. That's just with a struggling Broncos team and a Chargers team on the rise. You gotta make a somewhat easy call to me. I'm pretty sure Justin Herbert's gonna have just one of those games. Obviously, the Broncos defense isn't looking too good. I mean, they held the Colts to 12, but it's the Colts, so I mean, you don't really. That's kind of just an outlier game, regardless. But I mean, yeah, I gotta. It's a relatively easy call here. Just Herbert, Mike Williams. I don't know if Keenan Allen's gonna be back anytime soon, but if he is, it's just another easy call, and I'd have the Chargers going to 4-2 here. And with all that being said, that is gonna wrap up our Week 6 preview. That's coming our episode 7 here to a close here. Just another great couple weeks of football. We'll obviously see how everything unfolds. See you guys on the Sunday morning if all goes well. We'll obviously I don't think our schedule's too crowded this weekend. That's pretty sure we'll be fine here. So I guess Christian, go ahead and send us off.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, hopefully we didn't have a guest star last Sunday chat. We'll probably get some.
We'll see if we can.
We'll see who we can get. I got a couple people, but I mean, we did look a little sloppy right now. I mean, it's currently 12:17. I'm tired. He's tired. I just decided, fuck it, man. I was gonna wait till tomorrow, to be honest.
I mean,
you
gotta give me some time to edit.
You
gotta give me some.
I just got up. I'm tired as hell, and I just said, forget it. We're going through this episode today. But I mean, still another great episode we did. Some good predictions. Great feedback from both of us. I think so, and that pretty much wraps up this episode. And we'll see y'all in Sunday chat.